Welcome to Geek Insider presents Into the Geekverse with Matthew Harris and David King.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the second official episode of Geek Insider Presents Into the Geekverse. I'm Matthew Harris, and he's
David King.
And folks, last week we discussed Obi-Wan Kenobi and Star Wars, and this week we got a full show. David and I are huge DC fans, and we both got a lot of tattoos. I got a lot of tattoos to prove it. He got one, but it's beautiful. But that's what we're going to discuss today: DC and the crumbs that they've been leaving about what's upcoming. I know there are a lot of people that have been hating on the DC movies and the WB shows of late. You're either a Zack Snyder fan or you're not. And, but that's neither here nor there. DC has released a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks, or a lot of hints that's upcoming. What is there, David? There's Black Adam, and then what else?
We've got a long list today. You got the Black Adam, like Matthew mentioned. Very recent, I think next month, we've got DC League of the Super Pets, starring some big actors and names. We have the Batman that actually already came out, but we're talking about relevant and new news. We've got Gotham Knights, not only the game, but also a show that's in the works. We're not stopping there. We've got The Flash. We know that that's been talked for a really long time, but it's not out, and there's still talk going on about it. We've got Joker 2. There's Harley Quinn Season 3 now coming out, and we're still working, actually finishing up Superman and Lois. So, guys, that's some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. Like you said, a lot.
Yeah, Marvel is known for pumping stuff out. One of the first things that I want to discuss, I mean, I know we just went over a list, but we do stuff in whatever order things come up. And, if you have not checked them out, ladies and gentlemen, DC may have screwed up some movies. There's several that I really love. There is some that, but the animated movies, DC kicks major ass on the animated movies, and most of them are available on your HBO Max. Isn't that what it's called? HBO Max?
Yeah, HBO Max picked it up. DC's been through a lot of transitions from trying their DC universe out. Warner Brothers, you've got your HBO Max. They've gone through a lot, but stick with it. It's worth it. But it's not all on there. Superman and Lois, a lot of the Flash stuff like that, it's on the CW guys free app. You can go watch it anytime you want. It's on TVs, all that kind of stuff.
And the animated movies, they add them pretty quick. And I'm so grateful for that, because DC, WB, if y'all are listening, y'all have seriously got to put these out at lower prices when it first comes out. $19.99, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to wait until it gets to HBO Max. Put them out for $11.99, $9.99. I'll buy every single one to add to my collection, because I've got, David and I have a singular favorite, but then there are a lot behind that. And David, what's our favorite? Injustice?
Our favorite would be Injustice. That's my favorite, but I was trying to think about, whether we talk, because Suicide Squad's new, and that one was much better than the first one, in my opinion. I think we both liked, but Injustice takes the cake. You were talking about animated. Duh.
Yeah, just animated.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out Injustice, it's still fairly new. It is by far my favorite. It captures all of the character development. It's spot on. It keeps you interested in it all the way. Guys, if you've played the games and you think you've been over that storyline, forget whatever you thought. Watch it. It's amazing.
And,
guys, if it's $20, if I knew it was this good, dude, I'd pay $50 still right now.
And if you're not familiar with the storyline of Injustice, I don't want to give anything away, even though in the first 5 minutes you find out what has happened. But let's just say that this is a what if Superman went total rogue, where he
Well,
was
keep in
just
mind, it's not just Superman.
Well, no,
Injustice
he
is
gets
more
others to
just
join
the
him.
teams fighting each other about
Right.
their morals, their dilemmas, the situations, and
It's
then
kind of
people start
like,
really showing and choosing sides. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's guys,
No.
it's really exciting.
It's kind of like Injustice, or not Injustice. It is Injustice, but it's kind of like Civil War, where you have factions split, but you have Superman who's he is laying down the law. There is not going to be any more crime. And it's really good. And what I was getting to when we started this out is the animated movies are just above reproach in most cases. I mean, and there's a lot out there. One of my favorites is Batman the Long Halloween, which was one of my favorite comics. And then I can't remember the one where he goes back in time and he's a ninja. I think maybe Batman Ninja.
Batman Ninja.
That one's a really good one. And that kind of leads into the next thing I wanted to discuss, because these storylines are kind of like multiverse stories. DC used to call them Elseworlds in the comic books. You would have these different and Marvel called them what ifs, but this was called Elseworlds. And that's the way that David and I both, but without even talking, we just discussed our feelings together. That's how we felt about the Batman. And if you've seen it, and again, it's kind of two camps, isn't it, David? You either love it or you hate it.
And boy, we've heard both sides. Before we dive into that, though, you bring up a really good point that I didn't think about with the animated series. So the first thing was there is Catwoman that just released an animated movie. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it. Once again, it's on HBO. They drop these things like crazy, guys. The next thing was what he was talking about with the Elseworlds, and you get a lot of this the juicy sides of everything that you want to see, like you good guys going bad, or what if this one's the main hero? What if this one? And DC does that, and the ones are already all out on HBO, where they start with the Flashpoint Paradox, and then you start seeing a bunch of these. And if you watch them, you don't really realize they're all together until you get towards the end and it says 1 and 2. And then I started realizing that all of them that you were watching, there's a chronological order, even though they're Elseworlds and stuff. And so it's really interesting because you don't have to watch everything else, but then also it's just mind-blowing when you get to watch everything else.
And, if you've been a fan of DC Comics, I was getting DC Comics 30 years ago. Back there was a comic book boom, but it kind of got me, burned me out because there was just so much flooding the industry. But like he said, Flashpoint Paradox, that's an animated movie now. Death in the Family, Batman is an animated movie, and it's great. Red Hood, The Killing Joke, Red Hood. And I'm not sure if all of these are available on HBO Max, but I know they're available on Amazon or any place that you want to rent or buy. And the price is down now. What I was talking about, the price earlier, is when they release it. Because when I see a new Batman animated movie, because DC has done so well, I want it. I want to see it right then. And if, like I was saying, Warner Brothers, if you happen to be listening, we lower the price and we'll be more than happy to purchase them.
Something that I think about always when we're discussing this kind of thing is the business side. There's a lot of things that I'm never going to understand, but I do think about certain things. So, for instance, what you're talking about lowering the prices, and here's a really perfect example, because a lot of this stuff is already on HBO or anything, but when you see a good deal, sometimes you don't think about checking if you've already got it or if it's on a streaming platform. You just buy it and then go to watch it. And I can't tell you how many times we have a movie in our library that's on a streaming service already because there was a good deal out. So if you're dropping these animated movies and it's like, hey, if you're a member or whatever, like if you're just constantly buying these or anything, if you're a member or something business wise, then just buy them at $9.99. Maybe everyone else $15, or rent it for $10, buy it for another $5. Something.
Yes,
Dude, there's
that's
a
what
lot
I've been
of
saying
different
for
options
years.
business wise that you could still make a profit off of, especially, and a lot of people would probably think it's cheating, but it's just reality. If you have it really low, then there's a chance that I'm just going to buy it before I see if it's on a streaming service, which makes you money. And yes, I'll be like, oh, come on, but it's worth it. But
and how many times has that happened though, that I buy? We share a video library, folks, and we have, what is it, 300 movies now?
I think we're at 350.
Okay, well, I haven't checked in a while, but and so we do that, and I'll buy movies, and I message David, and I go, hey, I just bought this movie, check it, if you want to check it out, and he does the same thing. And so anyway, if the animated movies, in summary, if they were cheaper, we would buy a lot more of them, so we didn't have to wait for HBO. But now, backtracking and going back over to the Batman, how many times have you seen it? I saw it twice at the theater, and I watched it once already on the digital.
So that leads really great into this. I saw it 2 times, and I saw half of it in a theater. Guys, I'm an advocate for the Batman. We're going to talk about it here in a second. But the brutal honesty is that it's an extremely dark movie in all sense, between its humor, the action, also the lighting. I actually suffer from some medical issues that causes an issue with me when I'm not in like a comfortable setting. So I did have to leave, but it's not because I didn't like it. Since we're jumping into the Batman, before we move on, what Matthew was talking about, and there's 2 special ones that we have. We won't waste too much time today. But the tattoos that he was mentioning, we have, and they're both the bat symbols with our favorite villains in them. He's got the Joker. I've got Deathstroke in mine. So I wanted to show you all guys that real quick.
And tell him who drew them up.
His wife drew them up. She's an amazing artist. In fact, she also drew me these because I love her work so much. And my room's full of Batman stuff, but we won't get into that today. As far as the Batman, yeah, I've seen it twice. I'm definitely going to watch it more. In fact, where I was going with this was when we went to get this tattooed, we were talking to the guys about the Batman, and the guy was just ripping it a new one. He was like, man, that's the worst ever. And then I come back there, and then we start talking about how much we like it. Then he goes silent all of a sudden.
But, and again, I can understand where fans of only the Batman movies would compare this to, they rated against everything else, Christian Bale and Heath Ledger. That's why a lot of people hated what's his name's version in Justice League or in Suicide Squad. Yeah. I can't think of his Jared Leto. And so, they hated on it. I enjoyed it because it was another Elseworlds tale. And I'll admit, at first I was like, "What the ever loving hell?"
Before I forget, guys, you're going to be listening, and it's really easy on something like this for us to talk about how much we like something. So I'm going to immediately jump into. There was things that I didn't like about the Batman. The first thing that really caught me off guard was that inflatable wingsuit thing, and I was like, "That's not a classic." No matter which, it's his cape. And dude, some of the Batmans get it so right where they spin the technology on it, it stiffens, it attaches, and he glides. Sometimes it's not all going to be practical, and I think they were trying to go too much into the practical sense. But you got to remember, this is still Batman. This is still something that, we're living through his excitement and his tales and the
and this was just year 2. That's another thing that people don't take into consideration. This is just his second year being Batman. And so there is going to be some things that aren't up there, but this is Bruce Wayne. He's got unlimited money. Why is he going to have one of those kind of inflatable suits? He is going to have the classic, like you said,
when you see his car.
Yeah, I love his car. That is one badass Batmobile.
Some people hated on that. They wanted the fancy schmancy kind of stuff, but this is year 2, and yeah, there may be some more stuff to come and everything. But I like the idea if he took a car, he was working on this. Like, they didn't even bring up Lucius Fox, which was really the spearhead of where his technology goes. So
and
yeah,
maybe that's going to be a part. Maybe Lucius will be in part 2, and he starts upgrading some of his tech.
I hope he looks at the Batcave and he's like, "What is this crap? Like, let's get you a new one."
Right. Now, was there anything else you wanted to say on the Batman? Because this kind of leads into the Elseworlds, everything, and the Batman that we've been talking about. We can talk about. Go ahead.
The main thing that I wanted everybody to consider when listening this out, and I say consider, guys, everyone's entitled to their opinions, and that's what makes this really great, is everybody has a view of their own. I think that they did a really good choice of bringing the villains and the characters to life and their choices. You don't really see Falcons and the Maronis and stuff because, everybody wants more of the super villains, and these were people who used everything, their money, their influence, all that kind of stuff. And they really showed it in this. And I loved it. Besides also the detective side of it, I also think a lot of people didn't like it because this focus on how Gotham really was. Like, and you're talking about the Slum Lords and how bad down below Gotham is. Usually you're always getting like, Bruce, there's the rich people and they're hanging out talking about how bad it is, but you don't live in the slums part of it, and you got to see that and really experience it, which was good.
But the one big thing I didn't like is that they made Thomas Wayne out to be, a shithead, basically.
There's been, I've seen a comic, I feel like something else. There's been little bits, probably Elseworlds or something, where they do come out with like how he had relations with the Falcons. That was a little bit of a darker past. But if you really watch the movie and you're a fan, and I feel like it's because it was portrayed from a villain and everything that it seemed more sinister, but you really think about his plan and he was panicked. He didn't know what else to do. He was trying to do good. It got out of control. Like, he didn't mean for it to be. And I think that's what ties some of the audience into it. Like, what? Thomas, what? You didn't really expect it, but they're still trying to convey that it was meant for being good. So, like, I see what you're saying. I could see, but I think ultimately when I try to look at things like that, I feel like it just got out of control. He was trying to do the right thing. He was limited in options. He cared about his wife and the trouble. She didn't want that drug up, and
Right. And, that does kind of tie into the original storyline where Thomas does step in front of her and Bruce in the alleyway, and he gets shot first. And then, of course, the mom gets shot. So I can see that. I can see that point of view. And like we've said, this is an Elseworlds tale. And so you kind of have to you have to go into it with an open mind that, they said that they didn't say this was going to be a standalone story. They just said that this wasn't going to be connected to any other Batman because there was the Justice League was being filmed at that time. And at the same time that this one was being filmed. And so they made it clear and that it was going to be separate from one of my favorites in the DC universe, Joker. Another Elseworlds tale, but I've watched Joker more than a half a dozen times. My wife loves it too, and I'll get in the mood, once a month or so where I crank it on. I just love Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal and what we've learned. Now, there's not any news. There's only a little bit of news. I wish I'd have pulled it up, but Joaquin Phoenix and the original writer of Joker are both on board. They are both signed on, and so their Joker 2 is happening, and I can't wait. I just hope they don't screw it up. That's why I'm very hopeful or optimistic because it's the same team that did it before, and just hopefully they can catch that magic again. Is Harley Quinn going to come into the picture? Because there was something that they said about it that the name of it. That's right. Look it up real quick, David, Joker 2, because it's some French phrase, and I saw where somebody looked it up, and it's actually just it's about love or other half.
Folia ducks.
Yeah, I do.
Adieu.
Yeah. Now,
Sorry, don't
see,
speak French. I took American Sign Language.
but highlight that and look at that up and see what the definition says. And folks, I don't mean to sound like
Madness of two.
Yeah, see, Madness of Two. Oh, wait, though. That's probably Joker. Because they meet at, well, and I guess I should have said spoiler, but but they do.
Speaking of the Joker, something that I actually don't have much to talk about, but I just want to throw it out there while we're talking about DC. There was a guy who played Joker that I think did really well. It was in the Gotham series. We're going back to Cameron Monaghan, who we already talked about last episode, that it plays Cal Kestis in the Star Wars Jedi game. I think
Survivor.
he did good. Guys, if you want to check out the Gotham series, it's not bad, at least the first half. I ended up not finishing it. I heard that their directors and producers, whatever, changed in the middle of it. The direction was going off. But if you like the story of Batman, it's worth watching. I think it's free on like Netflix or something.
And again, another Elseworlds tale, but we see Batman grow up from a kid all the way through, and what he learns from Alfred, which Alfred's a badass in this. And I was the same way. Sorry, I got gnats in here. I left the back door open. But the damn, I lost my train of thought. I told you it happens at least once a show.
Well, we watch Penguin grow. We get the story of Solomon Grundy. There's a lot. It introduces and it brings a lot of light. I think later it brings into the Assassins, the League of Assassins.
Gotcha.
I don't think the show goes into the Court of Owls, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly bring that up. It's been out for a while now and stuff. You can definitely check it out. It's free on the streaming services. I'm not advocating for the second half. I just know the first half I didn't.
And I was the same way. That's what I was saying. I was the same way. I only got about halfway through, but I did enjoy what I was watching. And I just don't have enough time. I'm behind on Superman and Lois. And I got the first season on Blu-ray. Thank you, WB. They send me a lot of cool stuff. But anyway, what is next on the list? You know, we went totally off track. We were go ahead.
Batman stuff. Let's jump into the Gotham Knights. So before we actually have the trailer for you guys, there's a lot of different trailers for you to check out. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about.
This is the most recent one.
This is about the game. They also have the show coming out, but we're just going to show the game trailer. You ready, Matthew?
Yeah, it's not up in here anymore.
No, yeah, I'm about to pull it up. I just making sure you were ready.
Yep.
Okay. So you got the different logos, and I love how they focus on those. The main one that they portray is Nightwing. Guys,
turn it down
favorite.
A little bit. And then this city became my home. Its people became my family. Gotham gave me everything. It deserves to feel safe.
It is a different dynamic than other guys.
Can you turn it down a little? There we go. Yeah, when I first saw it, I was excited as hell because it's Nightwing. I was like, heck yeah, we finally got a Nightwing game. And I have a Nightwing tattoo. I'll show it.
No matter how hard we try.
But hang on.
There's always more to do.
It looks awesome.
And now?
And I sent it to David.
It's up to me.
You know, it was just showing him do backflips. He's not only fighting with his staff, but he breaks it apart and fights. I mean, it's all the classic Nightwing fighting. Who is that?
It specifies, which I'll get into when we finish the video.
I got
specific,
this,
for instance, focuses on his acrobatics.
Hang on.
And they do that for each character. They all specifically fight like their storyline.
Pre-order now and get the 233 custom.
So that is finally coming out, guys. It does look pretty exciting, but I am going to go ahead and jump into what I have here. So It looks a little bit behind the design of Arkham Knights. It still looks decently for cinema. Some of y'all like it, some of y'all don't. I'm big into the aspect of what they could put in graphics wise. It looks good, but just a little bit behind Arkham Knights, which is kind of confusing because that came out a long time ago. They specialize the characters, which we talked about a little bit. Nightwing, he uses the glider and he uses acrobatics. He jumps around the battlefield doing the punches and stuff like that. He uses his staff, does the electrocution. You got the combos. That leads into the Red Hood. I don't know if a lot of you guys know about the Red Hood. I love the Red Hood story. That's too long of a story to get into, but I have to tell you a little bit because of explaining about this. So the Red Hood was Jason Todd, who got being stolen by the Joker, left in a building to explode. Bruce went through a long time trying to find him, couldn't find him, lauded him for dead. Comes back and bites Batman in the butt later on. Jason Todd comes back as the Red Hood, who uses, guns and stuff like that. And then he becomes the Arkham Knight, blah, 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 when he goes to fight Batman. But he was raised by Ra's al Ghul in the Lazarus Pit, and that's how he came back as, the Red Hood. He covered his face. He's, just as skilled. The Lazarus Pit, for y'all guys who don't know, gives Ra's al Ghul his life and regenerates. That's how he stays alive for so long. But it never gave him powers. For everything I've seen, it never gave him powers. And in this game, they gave him powers. He has superpowers. And it's so frustrating because it's like the Robins, Batwoman, they don't have superpowers. That's not the Bat story. And I don't like, and it didn't give Ra's al Ghul superpowers. It helped his agility, durability, in different Elseworlds. And I can accept that, regenerative, building up, getting that kind of stuff. But no, this is straight up he can fly, walk in the air. Instead of jumping from buildings, he uses what they describe in the video. If you look it up on Steam, it talks you through it. He uses the projection of his soul to burst out from down below to project him up. And so he projects his soul and then uses his soul to bounce. And dude, I hate it. I don't like that they gave him powers. His thing was he's extremely skilled fighter. He also uses guns. In this game, he does use non-lethal guns because he's joining the Gotham Knights after Bruce dies and everything, which is cool. But no, X-Nade superpowers, that really pissed me off.
Because you messaged me and you go, I found out more about the Gotham Knights game and I'm pissed. And I said, save it for the show. And so, that is messed up.
The last thing that I have to say about the research that I've done, because guys, I played every Batman game. I played them very thoroughly. I love them. I'm excited for this one. The main villains that we're getting into is they're investigating the Court of Owls. I've talked with Matthew about this before. I don't think that a lot of people have really gotten into them, but think of them kind of on par with the League of Assassins. And so you'll learn a lot more when you play this game, and they haven't been introduced too much, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I do know that they want better for Gotham, and it's controlled by super controlling individuals that illustrate a bunch of kind of like ninjas to go through and kind of direct where they want Gotham to go, and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of like the League of Assassins, and I'm excited to see if they do it right, because they didn't even get into the Court of Owls, into the Arkham Knight, or any of the Arkham series, which covered so much. I mean, it even covered Professor Pig, or that's not his name. I'm trying to remember. He wasn't my favorite character, but it even covered him. So I'm excited to see. I'm just upset that one of my favorite characters, because it goes Nightwing and then it's Red. Yeah, I've got literally behind you guys. I've got Red Hood, Robin. I've got Red Robin, Arkham Knight, Batman, all of the Batwomen, Batgirl, all of that.
As I said, we're huge DC fans.
Yeah, guys, I know I took a lot of time speaking about that, but there was a lot of stuff that I was really curious and just getting into and everything. But overall, it still looks like a good game. I just disagree with giving him powers. But that's
Right.
such a huge thing. That's a minus for me. Why would you throw that into Batman and the Robins? Give them more durability, agility. I can understand
Right.
that from the Lazarus Pit, but not actual powers.
Right. No. And, at one point in the comic books, Bruce had to go into the Lazarus Pit. And, I don't know. I guess this game is another Elseworlds Tale kind of thing that it's not going to be canon. Because giving Jason powers just goes against everything.
Yeah, but the good news is it seems highly more focused on Nightwing, which is about time. Also, by the way, Warner Brothers, it's time for a Nightwing movie. I don't care what you say, it's going to be successful, huge moneymaker. We actually got that at a Comic-Con together.
Yeah.
The Robin, the Nightwing. But yeah, no, and where he goes up to Bruce and he says, we're going to do this, and I have a feeling he's going to become a leader for all of them. It's been a huge thing. Dick Grayson joined the Teen Titans, became his own Nightwing, went over to Bloodhaven to taking over all that. And even then, man, I can't spoil it, but he has a great story in Injustice 2, guys. So Nightwing's just got so much to offer as a character himself.
Yeah, he does.
He's getting his spotlight.
Yep.
Though.
Yeah, I would love to see. I mean, we see the Nightwing. Which game? Yeah, and Titans. That's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
But and I originally liked him. I liked what they were doing with the character. I had to do it, suspend my Batman. I can't think of the word that I'm thinking of, but I had to make sure that I understood it's a Elseworlds Tale, because there's just certain things that they did to Dick that just were out of left field. But anyway, we spent a lot of time on the Batman. I knew we would. We're such, I got this. He's got the same one. We told the story last week. But what is next? We teased that we were going to show the Black Adam trailer and talk about Black Adam. But then we got right into, and folks, this is one thing that y'all are going to have to understand for this show. We have an outline, but this is just us talking. We have a theme we want to discuss. But this is just us being geeks and sharing it with more geeks. And so
the next thing that kind of leads, because we're doing a transition, we will get to Black Adam, guys. I promise you, because that is a big motion picture that's coming out. But the thing that kind of matches with the Batman and the path that we're going is going to be the DC League of Super Pets. There's already a lot of information out there, guys. It's coming out next month. This is an animated movie. It follows the Super Pets like Crypto. It introduces some new ones. I'm not too familiar with it, other than I already knew about Crypto with Superman's dog. They even have Batman's dog as an indestructible dog. It's just a cute little comedy animated superhero pets. I'm gonna definitely see it. I think it's gonna be good, but there's not too much. There's trailers out and everything. Check it out. It does look funny. It's starring The Rock as Crypto, Kevin Hart as the indestructible dog, Batman's dog. I don't know his actual name. It has John Krasinski in it, I believe I saw. Some other big name actors. So it's gonna be good. I don't know if you wanted to say anything on it, Matthew, but I know we were transitioning away from Batman. I think that's the last updated Batman thing.
It's just at first I was like, what the heck are they doing here? Because it's going to be a theatrical release, and DC has been doing, like we discussed a minute ago, a lot of the direct-to-video animated movies. And so but you can definitely understand they're doing this as more kid-friendly. But it looks fun. It definitely looks fun.
Speaking of that, Injustice is definitely rated R.
Yes.
Having your kids, just be caution. Be aware that I'm not saying like lightly rated. This is heavy rated R.
Yeah, there's blood. there's
Equal
like we said,
to Deadpool. Like
yeah, except for the language. I mean, there's some strong language
there's
there.
some, yeah.
But go ahead. What was next?
No, yeah. Next, we can jump into Black Adam. This is something that I don't know if a lot of y'all have heard, but it's been in the making for just years and years.
The Rock has wanted to do this for as long as I can remember. I mean, not as long as I can remember, but over probably a half a dozen years that he's wanted to do this project, and it's finally coming together. And I've seen him all over Twitter on how proud he is of it. And from the trailer, it looks pretty daggum good.
And I've got the trailer. It's only 2 minutes. We'll show y'all here in a second. I'm excited. It's not something that I know a lot about. Kind of like Eternals, I didn't know a lot about, but I ended up enjoying it because I can be introduced. I can do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But this, I see having the potential as the first Wonder Woman, Shazam. Those were rock star hits. It was really good from DC. And y'all will see here in the trailer the elevation of The Rock's Dwayne Johnson's acting. And then we'll talk more about it, a little bit during and after. But if Matthew's ready, I can get that trailer pulled up.
Black Adam, what have your powers ever given to you? Nothing but heartache.
And that's Pierce Brosnan, folks.
I was a slave until I died. Then I was reborn a god.
So it does look like it's going over a little bit of
My son
backstory.
sacrificed his life.
Yes. Yeah, we're getting an origin at least.
Yeah. But it looks like it's short-lived. I think they're just spending a small time.
I kneel before
Right.
no one.
And it may be done as flashback.
Going on outside we ain't safe from.
In this world, they're heroes.
Now that is cool. Who is that, Hawkman?
This is Dr. Fate, which I'm extremely happy to see. Comparable to Doctor
Don't
Strange.
kill people.
Yeah, a lot of people were. Now is that Hawk?
Well, I do.
Hawkman?
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people on Twitter are very, very excited that Dr. Fate is coming. Doesn't look like we have a specific release date yet.
You have two
Says
choices.
fall.
You can be the
October
destroyer of
21st.
this world,
2022.
or you can be its
Very
savior.
sweet. Yeah, see, this movie just looks pretty
up to
daggum good. And he's not, if you don't know, and this is, hang on.
Behind you!
Oh.
Just catch a rocket?
The only thing I'm really familiar with Black Adam is he's not necessarily a hero. He's like an anti-hero.
I'll end up kind of jumping into
All right, let's stop
Black
it.
anything, you know my fresh coat.
So, like Matthew was just getting into, he's not like a definition of a hero. I felt like I saw him from something. He was, battling Shazam, some of the Justice League, Teen Titans, something. And, I've always thought of him. He was just a bad guy, and I just assumed he was like the arch nemesis of Shazam or anything like that. But as I was trying to look up a little bit more of this information and some of the other trailers, it walks you through where basically he only became portrayed as a bad guy based off of him saving his world or civilization or something in a disapproving manner. Nobody approved of how he did it. And so then he just started going like, I will do what no one else can do. And so the trailer portrays like he's trying to do the right thing. I mean, man, it's kind of like Thanos.
Right.
And, you know, if you read the comics and everything like that, he was trying to save the universe of pain, and it was his idea of what was good, but nobody approved of it. So it's
Right.
kind of like that from what I saw. But I don't know a lot. If I understood right from the trailers and stuff, this is picking up right after his 5,000 years of like prison based off of his crimes of saving his civilization by the way he did it or something. So
But
it's definitely going to be a very good movie. Something I don't know about. I'm open minded watching
right.
it. I think it's going to be great.
But the one thing that I wonder, it looks a lot darker than Shazam. So are we not going to see? And I don't even know if I want to see the current Shazam and Black Adam meet up, because Shazam to me was just great. I loved it. I know some people hate on it, but it's I just enjoyed it, and I've known Shazam since I was a little kid with the old, what was it, the 1970s version, which was very, very cheaply made, of course, but I loved it at the time, and so I just don't know that I want him, you know, The Rock, to be the protagonist or the antagonist in a Shazam movie.
From what we see, we've got Hawkman in it. We've got, I think his name's Atomic, that can shrink and grow.
Right.
And we've got some other stuff. I don't think so. I mean, if anything, maybe they'll introduce The Rock seeing Shazam on TV, or I don't know, something like that. But I don't think this one's going to get it. And it really, if they do, I don't know how they're going to pick it in. Like, and that's a problem with a lot of movies. They try to cram way too much in.
Right.
Like Batman and Superman and stuff. It was like, no. Like, you could have thrown that villain into a whole nother movie and been good. Speaking of Superman and Shazam, I was just reading up and I was watching a comic, or online. I say watching because you can just do that now. Did you know that Shazam's Shazam ability, where he summons the lightning, is strong enough to take down Superman?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I was reading.
Hi,
this.
welcome, Brenda. Thanks for joining us on the show.
What were you just saying?
Did you know that Shazam's ability, Shazam, where he summons the lightning down to change, is strong enough to take out Superman?
No,
Now,
I did not.
I don't know if it was trying to be like a portrayal or something, but I'm pretty sure he had to do it multiple times. Like, he had to hold Superman down and just call upon it like several times. And I don't think it officially defeated him, but like, it was the only attack big enough to like constantly hit him and make him
without kryptonite.
Yeah, because we all know, you know, how hard that is. But yeah, no, I don't want to go too bad off topic. You were talking about Black Adam.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all to say. All we really know is, you know, The Rock has wanted to do this project for a long time, so I imagine we can expect a pretty daggum good movie. You know, my wife always says that The Rock is her future baby's daddy. And so she was excited. She wasn't listening to me when I told her to watch the video or the trailer. And because I told her it was her baby daddy. And a few minutes later, she texted me. She goes, "You didn't tell me it was my baby daddy." I was like, "You weren't listening." But yeah, I think it'll be good. But you talking about that Shazam, you know, him using his ability is strong enough to defeat Superman. And we talked a little bit else about Superman. What is going on? What did you want to discuss about Superman and Lois? Because I'm way behind.
Yeah, so Superman and Lois is finishing up their second season. It is by far my favorite portrayal of, you've got the balanced life between superhero and the civilian life of a superhero that's that big. They do a really good, even job of, you still get the action, but you get his civilian life. Superman's got two sons with Lois. The battles, they bring in Bizarro and the Bizarro world in season 2, which is not really introduced that much. It's not a fan favorite, but by God, it makes a great cinematic story to be told. So it's finishing up the second one. It's really suspenseful. The two actors that are young are great. The storyline, you're going back to Smallville. You're talking about Lois being a reporter there and trying to dig into bigger news. You also see the introduction to Man of Steel. And so, like, I feel like they're doing a tremendous job, as most of the CW stuff is. I was impressed with The Flash, Green Arrow.
Yes.
So Supergirl up until I think the last 2 seasons. The last season was really, I think, the worst. But they do a lot of really impressive stuff. And once again, guys, all of those are free. It's on the CW. You can check it out at any time. I want to hear what you have to say about, what you remember and stuff about that. But I just realized that we totally didn't talk about the Gotham Knights show.
Oh, yeah.
I think you liked it. I didn't. And
Well,
that doesn't happen that often.
Right. I just thought, because I don't know anything about the storyline of Gotham Knights, but then I kind of saw it, it mirrors where in the game, Nightwing is telling Bruce, because Bruce is in the grave, and he says, "I got this, Bruce." And in the trailer for the television show, there's some unknown offspring of Bruce Wayne, because it's not any of the known Robins or any of the known sons. But he says they take over because Bruce was killed, and Batman was killed, and they're trying to find out who murdered him. So I thought that was cool. That was my first introduction into the storyline. It does look like it's geared more towards the tweens, as opposed to the hardcore Batman fans, but it does look a little bit off considering what CW has done so well, like you were saying, Green Arrow and the Flash. But what did you not like about it?
I don't like what they're portraying as the Gotham Knights. The appearance, the facade they put on, the show. I don't think it's ready to have a show off of that. I think you can play the game and stuff. For some reason, they seemed kind of too young or little. I just couldn't really take seriousness. Plus, with like the story that if we're going all the way into the time of Gotham Knights and stuff like that, then you already have Damian Wayne,
Right.
But I think this one's his adopted son, and I don't.
Is he canon? I'm gonna have to watch it again and look up the name.
Not that I know, and I haven't seen too much, but nothing of this screams like I want to see this. But also, like they didn't really show Nightwing in his suit,
Right.
it wasn't.
Will you check it out though?
Drama, yeah, I will. I'll definitely watch it and everything. I'm more excited to play the game. But we'll see. I feel like this is going in the directions of Titans, where I'm like, I think you're trying to throw too much what you see politically, or trying to get diversity and trying to get. And I'm all for. There was something Matthew pointed out the other day that wasn't the same race, I think, as the character in the comics or something. But I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, they do it great. I definitely don't care or anything. But like in Titans, they make Starfire African American, but it's not just that. It's her attitude. It's
she has like a complete.
Her character is totally different. Raven is more of the nice person and not the brooding. It's Starfire's more of the brooding, and it's just it. I don't like when the character development changes, and like sometimes you can get a little bit unique and stuff with the way that you go, but also like
you can't destroy a character.
That character
exactly.
So it's like you can't have someone play Damian Wayne and be nice and like teamwork and everything. Like his thing is he is a smart aleck little kid who thinks he could do everything by himself. You can't change that, or it's not Damian Wayne.
Yep.
He's Rachel Google's grandson. He's trained sophisticatedly, and he doesn't want to be humbled by Batman.
And for those reasons exactly, I stopped watching it after the beginning of season 2. I haven't watched anything since then. And but I had high hopes for it at first. Suspended disbelief about, like I said earlier, about Dick's career and all of that, his story. But yeah, it could go either way. I'm not real excited, or I'm not excited about the show. Me too. I'll probably check it out. I'll give it a couple of episodes and see how it is. And then we'll go from there. Well, I'm sure we'll do an episode and either be pitching it or bitching it.
Yeah, I'm thinking they may be somehow introducing Azrael, which I feel like once again that is a really far off character, but is good enough to make a movie or show off of. I think they nailed it in Arkham Knights.
Well, I hope that they stick to the right storyline for Azrael, because the storyline of Nightfall and Azrael comes in. That was the whole storyline that got me back into Batman comics, was Nightfalls, because they were breaking Batman's back and paralyzing him and killing off Superman at the same time. And so I got both into it. And then I am a big time OCD. I had to go back like 10 years. I ended up having 10 years worth of their consecutive comics so I could read the stories. But Azrael, that's where Azrael comes in. And I just hope that they do this, at least his backstory, because his backstory in the comics is really good. You have the Order of Saint Dumas. Wow, I just pulled that out of thin air. I couldn't remember. I mean, like I could remember the name. But yeah, I just hope that they do Azrael right, if they do bring him in. But I don't know, with what we've seen so far, that they would do it right.
Yeah, we've got two more things to talk about. We got 9 minutes. Out quick fire. There is Harley Quinn season 3 has now been confirmed for the summer of 2022. Once again, it's an animated DC. This one comes in series, focuses on the story of Harley Quinn, her tales, the other villains, Poison Ivy, and it shows a little bit of the Joker.
Great.
And it's a huge comedy, rated R. Just it's a real like, oh shoot, they brought the character and they're like, man, they have Bane in there, which he's not like Bane, I know. Yeah, they make him just the brunt of everything, the brunt of jokes, and but I'm excited. It's a long time coming. They've had a hard and difficult road trying to get it out, but. Hey, Jason, nice to have you on the show. What if Batman got DNA from Superman and found a way to make it work for him? That's a really good point. And I could see, with the way DC's going, them diverging into more of the Elseworlds that we're talking about.
And I'm fine with that.
One.
And
because Batman's had to use a lot of things to his advantage. And I think that one would be a real moral thing. Like, does he feel like it's cheating? Does he feel like what's going to be the repercussions? What's going to happen to him? That's
a great idea.
I think that it'll be a really interesting tell. Yeah, man, go ahead and, write up a comic, publish it, put it out. We'll make sure to check it out.
And this, you were just talking about, you hope that they do more of the Elseworlds. I think that's what we're going to see, because a few weeks ago, when the WB DC side got restructured, who I don't have the quote exactly, but basically they said they wanted more movies that were like the Joker. And I don't know if that means dark or, because the Joker was supposed to be a one shot, and it was so good and received so well that they've decided to do a second one. I'm fine with one shots. I would love to see, a really, really good Catwoman story that's not the Halle Berry version, which it's Halle Berry's version is still okay to watch, but I would like to see a real Catwoman, the cat burglar, the life that she had to lead that led her into becoming Catwoman. But anyway, I would maybe we are going to see that, and I'm all in if they do. And if it hits, then great, make a sequel like the Batman, but anyway, we're running out of time here. What else are we going to discuss?
the last 5 minutes we're going to burn up, and I can't believe we haven't mentioned it sooner, is The Flash. This information has been out, I don't know how long. It has been in the works for a really long time. And man, I will let you take the lead on this. I know we've talked about it quite a bit. Also, the actor, but I can't wait for you to tell the audience all the information about this.
Well, we know that the movie is going to focus basically the Flashpoint paradox, where it's the multiverse. And no, they're not. Hang on, they're not.
Hi, Amanda. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Hey, Amanda. I hope you're feeling better. But they're not copying Marvel. Like the Spider-Man No Way Home with the multiverse, and Doctor Strange with the multiverse of madness. They're not copying. The Flash has been in works for a long time. It's been delayed until next year. It has Ezra Miller in it. We know that. What I thought was cooler than hell was that they were going to start drawing in. They had Michael Keaton as Batman, and that got my geek boner just really going. And so it was supposed to be really, really good. I don't know if Ezra Miller's behavior is what got this delayed another year. I have a suspicion that it is, because this fool,
Arrested, getting drunk,
punching people in public, spitting on people,
breaking and entering.
Yeah. And now somebody's accusing him of giving their underage daughter, and he was underage at the time too, don't get me wrong, but LSD and using fear and stuff to coerce her and stuff. Yeah, this just came out the other day. And so Ezra Miller it sounds like he's on a downward spiral, buddy. I hope you find your way. And actually, I said he goes by they. I'm sorry. But hopefully you find help, because we really enjoy your portrayal of the Flash, and I'd love to see it continue on. I'm thinking that's what Warner Brothers is hoping as well, is that within a year from now, things will be calmed down. He'll be straightened out, and we can see a great movie, because I'm excited about it. I was excited when it had the this year release, the 2022. But unfortunately, now we're in limbo. we know next year.
It's one of the things that me and Matthew have disagreed on, not too strongly or anything. I personally have not liked so far Ezra Miller's The Flash. I more like the actor who does the CW. We get the lightheartedness, the young adult age. You get his comedic a little bit. I don't think that there's been a perfect Flash yet so far, what I've seen, but also some of it has to do with just the choice of the movie and stuff like that. Like Justice League in this really like metal thick suit. Like
Right.
I want him to have that thin suit, and even the trailer, if y'all go check it out for the Flash, he has a better suit, but it's still not what I want from the Flash. I feel like they're trying to go more futuristic, and I feel like what I've seen Ezra Miller is more of like the hopeless kid who's like in the background trying to make the little jokes that no one really hears. But the Flash is more like, boom, in your face. What you guys talking about? Or like, there's
Right.
a lot of good animated DC of the Flash, and it's time for a really good movie. I'm definitely going to check it out. His acting seems better to me than in Fantastic Beasts.
Right.
So I am excited to at least see that. I'm going to give him a chance. But I just think the portrayal, especially like the suit and a little bit of the attitude, it's not what I was hoping for, but still has a lot of chance there.
Well, and the TV show, the television show, and the movie, they both focus on Barry Allen. What a lot of people don't know, and I can't think of his name, but there was an earlier version of the Flash. And that's what I would like to see. If they're going to be doing these one-shot kind of things, let's see an alternate version of the Flash. And as soon as you find his name, I'm going to go, oh, yeah. Because that was the comics that I read, was this other Flash. And then Barry Allen, that's the other thing is, if I'm not mistaken, the earlier version pass the torch on to Barry Allen. There,
Jay Garrick.
Huh?
Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrett? Well, that
Garrick. Garrick. Because he was also introduced, Jay Garrett, in the TV show where they cross worlds and meeting Jay Garrett, who has the old tin hat with the lightning bolt.
Right. Okay.
So.
And saying I wouldn't mind seeing that. We could go back, to the 1950s or 60s or whatever, and it being another Elseworlds kind of tell for the Flash. And I know we're going over here. We're right at an hour, but we got the freedom to go as long as we want. We might see some shows that go an hour and a half, but there was a couple of other things that I wanted to discuss. Thank God there was a cancellation from DC. I am, I'm 50 years old, and I used to watch all the cartoons and stuff, and you had the Super Friends. Well, you also had the Wonder Twins, and it was fun to watch at the time, but they were planning on a Wonder Twins live action movie. Now, if you remember the Wonder Twins, it was form of, and the chick could turn into shape of, she could turn into any animal. And then there was form of, and he turned to anything liquid, water. That's not going to translate well to a movie. So, and it was right after the restructuring at WB.
And talking about cancellations, I do want to hear what you have to say, but I can't tell you how many times I've thought about it and forgot throughout this show.
Go ahead.
Wonder Woman, 1984. Yeah, what were y'all thinking? Why? Yeah, I really try, but why? How?
I've watched the original, several times.
Dude, the first Wonder Woman was great. That right. Shazam, like I was mentioning earlier, was a great start. And I thought that they were going to be flying, catching up with Marvel after those kind of stuff. But then they started releasing some really just not up to par with my expectations, like 84.
And they had a blueprint for how to do this. And they started off great. Aquaman, Wonder Woman,
that was great, yeah.
And they didn't do a Batman solo, but they were building up to Justice League. And Zack Snyder's, love him or hate him, his idea was 2 Justice League movies. And if you have not watched it, if you just saw Justice League in the theater or on streaming service, there's a completely different movie. You watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, and that is on HBO. It's a 3-hour movie, but it's worth it. I enjoyed it immensely. What about you, David?
I really did. We watched it together. It was a long movie, and I really enjoy a lot of those that get to come out, just like Endgame. I think that there was... I think that it was a better portrayal, watch till the end, of Jared Leto's Joker, because you get more of him and like what he wants to do.
And you see that it's go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
At the end, you get to see the direction that it's going. You get more character development through each different character in it. You get more of an explanation from some of the stuff instead of the first one. So it was a lot better.
And if we got the Jared Leto Joker that's at the end of Zack Snyder's, if we got that, I would be ecstatic because I really liked that portrayal right there. And it's, we know it's years later, but I don't want to ruin the end of it. But if you definitely understand at that point that this is an Elseworlds tale, that this is, outside of everything else. Did you want to say anything else on that? Because I got one more thing and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, what you got?
All right. Well, I think we would be doing a disservice. We're doing a DC show. We would be doing a disservice if Uh-oh. We pissed someone off. What was so wrong with Wonder Woman 84? I
I
enjoyed
think
it.
that there's a lot of different things. I'll just say really quickly, I think that she was too emotional for the character that I fell in love with as Wonder Woman. The whole Steve thing and her getting kind of thrown off and stuff. I feel like if they wanted to go with that, there could have been a better direction. So I feel like from a movie plot standpoint and that character, it was kind of done sloppy. I like the
Forced him in.
cinema, and her arch enemy Cheetah was not impressive. I feel like it could have been done much better and
That's-
exciting for an action. Like, that's my opinion. There's a lot of other ones. I can't believe that they went from how good I perceived the first Wonder Woman to that, and I think that's what bothers me so much. But for people who love it, I'm not dissing y'all at all. I can understand where y'all are coming from. Sometimes I just break down stuff really detailed.
But I didn't like it either. I was watching it with my wife. She loved it. I was just not into it. And the biggest things were, to me, Chris Pine, it felt totally forced to have him in it because of his star power and his following. It did. There was no reason to bring him back from the dead. Absolutely none. And then, like you said, Cheetah, she was laughable. There's a rogues gallery. If you want to do a rogues gallery, there was just so many other great enemies of hers. But lastly, like I was saying, we did a show on DC, and I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't mention the DC deck builder game.
All right, guys. So sorry to take this over from y'all.
No, go ahead.
But guys, DC Deck Builder is a board game that I introduced Matthew to the last time that I was visiting him a month ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, you can get a lot of different expansion. I played this. My brother's household introduced it to me, and it's really exciting. You get some characters that you can play as. The base one has Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman. You've got a lot of different ones. And the really cool thing was this company, Cryptozoic, I believe it's pronounced. They're doing a new pack right now on Kickstarter for Injustice. But each of their cards, their characters, are honing in on their abilities and what they do. Hi, Amanda. Thank you for joining us again. She is somebody that I have played deck builder with as well. When you stack them, you buy cards, you use them. It's a really fun game. And I got another expansion, and we played a little bit. And you can take cards out. You can kind of build your own. You do the battles. You have super villains that you face. Or if you have the deck I have, you can play villains and defeat the superheroes. And, they have attacks that they do on you. And there's a lot of information, and it's kind of overwhelming rather than you just playing it. But believe me, guys, if you're fans, get you the first base game. Start playing it. If you don't enjoy the game, because there may be some of y'all that don't, I guarantee you're going to like the artwork on the cards, the powers, how they intertwine with how the characters actually work.
And
like Superman, you get a +1 power for each superpower you have. That makes sense. He has flight, he has speed, he has laser. Like, it makes sense. Batman +1 for each equipment. Batman has a whole utility belt. It just makes sense. And they deserve a whole hell of a lot of respect for going through, taking the time for these character developments, putting it in. And guys, we just figured out, and I've been trying to tease Matthew with it every time we play as well. They've made stuff in individual cards you could buy to play as characters, such as Lobo. And there's a card, and he always tries to get it. And if that comes up, I just want to steal it from him to spite him.
My wife ended up discarding Lobo just so that I couldn't get it. Because I after David introduced me to it, I had to get it as well. I got the base kit, and then I also got the Teen Titans version. Well, I went through and I put the decks together, not completely. I went through, I still need to trim it down a little bit, but it works really great. I love it. But as David was saying, some of you may not like this full version. They also have just 2-player games. I have Flash and Reverse Flash.
We
There's
have Green Lantern and Sinestro.
yeah,
Flash and
excuse me,
Reverse
I always
Flash
say
is
that.
the new one coming out because we
And then-
wanted it. It's just it's not
Right.
out yet. But yeah, go ahead.
And then there's Batman and Joker, and
But it's like sold out every time we check.
yeah, because I was going to get it. But those games, the 2-player, it works completely different, or not completely different, but a good build different than the main one. But they're fun. They're fun as heck. And as he was saying, Cryptozoic, they are got a current Kickstarter. They're also in I forget what it's called, but in the you're not waiting for. And I don't know what I'm thinking of, but they went way beyond their goals because this is so popular. And so if you go and get it, yeah, stretch goals, you still get a lot of different stretch goals. And then eventually it'll be on their website. They have a lot of great stuff on their website. Like David was saying, you can get individual cards. There's more superheroes that you can get, your base cards, or there's more enemies that you can get. Because that's the other thing. The goal of the game is not to run out of cards before you defeat all the villains. And each villain has a different attack when they first arrive. It's just really fun. My wife, I got her into it. It can take, an hour and a half to play a good game, 2 hours. But it's really fun, really fun. And so I wanted to give them a shout out.
Cryptozoic, if you're watching this, yeah, you may be doing Kickstarter, but maybe throw us new ones and we'd be happy to do a review. We'll just do a whole show on it. We'll just be like, check out this card and what it can do.
Exactly.
And man,
Exactly.
I'm welcoming it. Please. If anybody has any connections.
And now that you mention it, that may just have to be a whole show, is that we discuss the game and then showing the best cards that we love. But here's somebody giving tips. Collect all the Suicide Squad. Yeah, because if you're able to play 3 Suicide Squads at the same time, everybody you're playing against has to discard their hand. So you get 2 turns
against it because it's not an attack. You also get +2 power, as well as at the end of the game, it counts as each card is equal to the VPs as the amount of cards you have. So if you have like all 5 Suicide Squads, then each one of those 5 is worth 5 points. So that's way more than any card can get you. Like even the super villains you defeat, I think max at like 8 VP, right. I think I've seen. So you're talking about a regular card that you could buy 5, and then if you have 5 of them, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 points. It's amazing. But I'll tell you what, no one will like you in that game.
Yeah, exactly. And I really think that we're going to add that to the list of upcoming shows, is to discuss the game more. I may reach out to Cryptozoic to see if there's something that we can't do. Because
guys, and I can't believe we haven't mentioned it. Please drop some comments and stuff. We'll read them. If you're wanting a show or something, let us know. We love exploring all sorts of things, talking about them, and if there's something that blows up, we'd be happy to do a show about it.
Yeah, and like he was just saying, you can chat with us whether you're listening on YouTube or you're listening on through Facebook, whether it's one of the groups from Geek Insider or it's my personal one. We may add David's here pretty soon as well for those that listen through David. But we're here every Sunday night now at 9 p.m. Central. Make sure you join us. This is, Geek Insider Presents. So also visit geekinsider.com. There's all kinds of great articles there daily, as long as I don't slack and I get them published. But there is a lot of great material over there. We're going to be bringing a whole bunch of shows like this where we discuss stuff that's just in the Geekverse. And David, what did we have down for next week? Do we have a plan yet? I believe so. I thought we had 3.
We do. So next week's planned show, unless there's something more relevant that blows up that we need to discuss, is going to be Marvel. All the new things, the new phase, what's introduced, our theories of where it's going, some of the discussions of the movies that we've watched. It's really exciting. Once again, it's going to be jammed packed. Definitely got to catch that show, guys.
Yep. And again, that's going to be Sunday night at 9 o'clock. You can catch us here on YouTube or the Facebooks, as I mentioned, or you can, I'm going to get better at it. You can listen on all major podcasts, usually the following day. It may be Tuesday because some of them take a little bit longer to aggregate out. But we'll get that out. All you got to do is or type in Geek Insider. You'll see our little logo, and then you'll get the latest show. And there's 100 different shows on there, folks. We had some friends that in the past that have done shows. Meredith, God rest her soul, she did some solo shows and interviews. And so there's a lot of stuff on there to listen to. But you can check it out every week. If you don't have a chance to catch us on Sunday Night Live, you can watch or listen through the week. And with that, I'm Matthew Harris, and he is
David King.
And we thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.